Characters are an essential element to any script, and I'm going to tell you how to develop and create the very best characters for your script starting right now. Hey, I'm Regine. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about one of my favorite things, and that is character development. Here's something important to know. A concept will get people interested. Your characters will keep them staying around and turning the page. You always want to make sure that your concept is good, your characters are even better. Think about it like this. How many times have you fallen out of love with a series as a whole, but there are a couple of characters or one particular character that you really, really love and that you stay around for just to see that one person on screen? That's what I mean about having interesting characters that keep you coming back. There's no such thing as knowing too much about your characters before you start writing your script. More is more. The more you know, the easier it is for you to write your script and keep your script character driven, not plot driven, character driven, which is always an A+ for you as a writer. Now, because more is more, of course, there are more and more ways in which you can develop a character and use the people that you know in the world that you live in to help inhabit the worlds that your characters live in and the people that they know and interact with. It's really fun. You know, writing scripts and writing characters, it's really, really shameless work. You really got to have a shameless mindset about it because you're literally mining your life and the life of people around you to make a good story. But there are ways to do this without being too intrusive. It gets a little bit wacky, but I promise it all works out. Before social distancing became a thing, I used to like to people watch. And what I mean by people watching is just eavesdropping the hell out of their conversations. Not really because I'm nosy, but because people have a really great habit of talking on the phone on speakerphone, and they let you hear their conversation. So it's not me that I'm eavesdropping on, it's just that I'm just privy to a conversation that's a private conversation that I can interject in my mind, just not in person to that person because I don't want to get like beat or anything like that. But it's all fair game. And it's really, really great when people do that, although it's annoying most of the time. But as a writer, when you're looking for things, it gives you a really good ear to hear how dialogue comes across in real life. When people are on the phone, how they respond and react to information that's being given to them in real time. And what's great about it is you'll hear something that sounds kind of out there and you're just like, wait, huh? And it gives you an opportunity to be like, well, what happened there? You kind of start making up your own story. So if you're in Starbucks and you got somebody behind you saying, I will cut that girl if she shows up at my door, you're automatically like, do I need to run? Is this an old person? Is this a child? Who is she talking about? Is it somebody's baby mama? Maybe it's the mother-in-law. I don't know. You really just start making up stories in your head and you start making up different scenarios. And that's really all character development is. Letting your mind run free and making up things as they go for your characters to be a part of and have their little scenarios and their tensions and their conflicts and seeing what can come out of it. It's a what if for you in a very safe environment. Again, don't make it obvious that you're eavesdropping on people's conversation, but just, write it down on your phone and be like, I can use that. Tip number 1. A lot of people don't realize that the people that they know and very closely surround themselves with, like friends, family, co-workers, really are a gold mine of information because you know them. You know their habits, their vices, their fears, their moral compasses. And that's what you need basically to write your characters. You want to establish habits, fears, routines, vices, because those are the main core characteristics I find that you can always very quickly draw tension and conflict from easily. Because people who have routines don't like routines to be broken. And when that routine is broken, it may send them into a tizzy. Or if they have a certain fear about something and they have to confront that fear, how they do it can be very, very interesting. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you have 2 characters, one named Sue, one named Ann. Sue Ann. Sue Ann, I think that was the character on Ma. Well, I did say wacky. Let's stay with it. Sue and Ann are roommates. And if this was a film, it will probably get set up like this. within the first 10 minutes or so, it would get exposed to you or get told to you as the viewer that Sue has a real fear of black cats. And you'll probably learn about it in some little conversation or something that she has with Anne. Later on, that moment will get paid off when Anne goes to Sue and is like, look, we're broke. Let's go rob a bank. And Sue is like, all right, bet. So they go to rob a bank. Boom, boom. It's a shootout. They make a run for it. They get in their car. It's a car chase. Cops are after them. They decide to ditch the vehicle. And as they're running away, the cops are still chasing them. Anne jumps over the fence. Fine. She keeps running. Sue jumps over the fence, and there's a black cat that's like right in her path. And so she's frozen with fear. She's paralyzed. The cops are behind her. Sirens are going. The other girl is, I forgot her name that quick. The other girl is like, what are you doing? We gotta run. What are you doing? She's like, there's a cat. Oh. It's all these little things happening all at once because she's afraid of a cat, because we know that she's afraid of the cat. So she's obviously, now we understand it, because this cat shows up, she's scared, the cops are after her, her friend is running because she doesn't want to get caught by the cops. So now you've got all this tension because this could be really, really big. If she gets arrested, they're going to go for her friend and they're going to probably hold her. It makes the whole thing blow up, essentially, because what to do? What are you going to do? That's the kind of moments that keep you on the edge of your seat and wanting to find out what happens. It's little things like that you can use in your script, again, that you can always lean on for tension or a conflict. Here's the thing about using people when it comes to writing your scripts. You always just want to have people's habits, maybe what they do for a job, but not exactly copy and emulate them habit for habit, routine for routine, description for description. That gets into life rights, and people can say, hey, I know that that's me. We did XYZ and I'm seeing it here. You owe me money. If you go too far with it, you might have to start calling the lawyers. So just keep things for now, unless it's something that you want to do, unless you're interested, unless you're explicitly writing a biopic. Just pick and choose carefully what you use from people. People who go with common things. Like, we all know a friend who's always late. We all know somebody who has a coworker that doesn't wash their hands, or somebody who likes to swear a lot. Things like that can be used that's not easily identifiable to one particular person, especially somebody that may be very close to you. So just keep it on a level. And if it is somebody, just, change names or something like that. Just keep it safe for yourself. I think a lot of people just assume that when we say read, you have to read these really great, big, thick novels, and you're always keeping your eyes open for the obvious inspiration. And that can happen, but a lot of times the biggest little sparks that happen come from things that you don't really think would be there, like obituaries, a pamphlet at the doctor's office, an old copy of Popular Mechanics, a billboard. It's just other little things. You go, that's interesting. All that you need is just the potential of a story. Or you got to have something that gives you that feeling of, I think that could work. I think a lot of people just assume that if you're reading it now, you have to use it now. You can read something today and just have it come back to you as a great idea or something that you remembered that could be useful to you maybe 3 years later for a completely different script. It's always just good to read things because you never know what your mind holds on to that would be useful for you at a moment that you least expect it. So always just be reading things just for fun, for assignments. Just always keep yourself open to what could be possible, what could be interesting for you. What I love so much about social media is that as a writer, people will literally tell you everything about themselves for free, like unprovoked, free. And it's awesome because you don't have to do a whole lot. You just kind of sit back and watch somebody's feed, and they give you an entire story. They tell you their whole life story. They tell you their mama's story. They tell you your cousin's story. And it's just like, oh, okay. And some things you just kind of wish they wouldn't tell you, but that's also a trait that you can use for somebody. People like to feel comfortable, and people like to feel like they are needed in a way. That's also a habit that you can use for somebody that you know in a script. You know, it's a habit, it's a feeling. You know, instead of somebody may have a thing where they don't, you know, talk to their husbands, they go talk to social media. That could be a point of conflict and contention for later on in a script or a series that you may be writing. Stay on top of what is trendy and what is trending in the world, period. What I mean by that is, I remember a few years ago when the whole New Age movement came about and people were all into the crystals and the chakras and witchcraft and all that kind of thing. And then you saw a re-emergence of witchy things in film and television. You know, we got the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and Charmed came back, and you know, you started seeing people being more open with these types of things. When you stay on top of those types of trends, you can, as a writer, start to tailor, you know, a script or something just to have it in your repertoire. If somebody says, hey, we're looking for the next charm, do you have something like that? You say, oh yeah, I've got that. And if you have something like that already ready to go, or something that you are developing, that can be a foot in for you and towards your next job. So when you do develop something like that, just kind of let people know within your little friend circles or writing circles or whatever, hey, I'm writing something like this. Because you never know, you know, phone calls happen. They say, hey, I need something like this today. Do you know somebody? And if you have that and somebody knows that you have that, that could be a recommendation for you. And to sort of piggyback off of what's trendy, how you can use what's trendy to your use, let's use astrology for this. If you know astrology, I'm not saying that you have to do this, because you can use anything. Like if you're a knitter, use like knits and needles. If you like houseplants, you can use houseplants. But I'm using astrology because I know a good bit about astrology. If you understand the planets, and let's say that you are writing an ensemble cast, if you understand how the planets work and what they do and how they interact, that's a really good and quick way to personify the humans in your script. Do you follow? Oh, you know, I think I might do like a little video about that. That's an idea. So what I mean by that is, if you've got like a family dynamic, say you have a hardcore father and a teenage son that's just rebellious. Well, the rebellious son might be Mars. The cold-hearted father might be Saturn. You know, they butt heads because we all know that Saturn and Mars don't mix. But when they do have to interact, it's very tense, it's very terse, that sort of thing. And that's always something that you do actually see happen in real life, where fathers and sons may not have the best relationships. So it's nice if you don't really want to, again, you know, use the people that you know, or you feel like what you do already know isn't enough, to use what you actually do know and can relate it to something that you're working on. If you want more on that, I will go ahead and do that. Just let me know in the comments below. But yeah, character development doesn't have to be this hard fought thing. It doesn't have to be this, you know, tiring thing. It could be really, really fun. The whole point of character development is using what's fun and what's different and unique to you to make your characters be fun and different and unique to the people who will see them. So don't limit yourself. Be respectful in what it is that you do. Again, don't go too far with people's, you know, lives and how you use them and manipulate them for the screen. Don't do that. But just have fun with it, you know, because this should be probably one of the most fun experiences, you know, just to deep dive and see what all comes up and what's the potential for every character. Because I think, in my opinion, once you start developing your characters and seeing the potential of it, your excitement level for what you're writing should grow. And if it doesn't, maybe take a step back, put it down for a day, and come back to it. That always helps me. So if you want to learn even more about how to write great screenplays, please watch my next video. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.